So, welcome to See the Stories, the signature segment of 3 Hour News Show. So, before we jump to our discussion that you've been waiting for, I want to ask Hans first.
Oh, why? Why me?
Do you still, since you're a horror lover,
I am.
Do you still remember your very first horror movie that you watched?
My very first horror movie?
Yeah.
Now, that is very hard to answer because I might have to dig deeper into the very early 1990s. Probably, it's an Indonesian horror movie called Bayi Ajaib.
Oh.
Oh my God.
Is it about Tuyul?
No. It's it's about the cursed child.
Oh,
so
okay.
So if you're an international audience, think of Damien Omen, but it's Indonesian version of it. Only it's not Lucifer that got into him, but this is the demon, no, the spirit from the, like some Dutch colonizer or something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
So actually that's it.
Oh, that
haunted me to bits.
Especially you were a child.
Yeah, I was a child.
All right. Okay, so talking about Indonesian horror films, the actress who played Susana is still well known among Indonesian film enthusiasts, especially fans of the horror genre like us.
Yes. In the segment, we'll talk about a documentary, apparently a film about the legendary actress Susana, the late Susana, to guide us. We have the co-producer of Susana, the Queen of Black Magic, here with us, Eki Imanjaya. Mas Eki, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Mas Eki.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, it's a pleasure, especially for me. So, Mas Eki, this is very interesting because there hasn't been many documentary movies about a particular horror specialized actress. Now we have Susana. Can you tell us the story behind the documentary Susana, the Queen of Black Magic?
Okay, so in the global circuit, Indonesian classic films, horror films, exploitation are very popular for a niche market, including Susana, Barry Prima films.
Oh, yeah.
And that's one of my doctoral research at that time. So the DVD distributors love to have this kind of weird, exotic films.
Okay.
Yeah. So one of them is Severin Films. Severin Films is one of the DVD distributors in Los Angeles.
I see.
Okay.
And they wanted to redistribute Sundel Bolong.
Oh my God.
Which was starred by Susana too.
Legendary.
Right? Legendary.
So at first, David Gregory, the director, approached me and Joko Anwar told me that I should talk to you about this, blah blah blah. And at first, he only wanted to make the special, special bonus in the DVD. There are special feature.
Yeah.
So he asked me to interview some of the like Joko Anwar or the makeup artists and so on and so on. The thing is, it's becoming bigger and bigger, and and I even took him to Layar Tancap to the. and then, this is wonderful. Why don't we make the feature length one instead of the bonus? So okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
I see. And what inspired you to create this documentary? And what were your main motivations?
Yeah, the thing is, Susana is a beloved queen of horror, and
Yes.
Agree.
Yeah. So from my childhood, I think it's yours too.
Yeah, it's mine too.
Until recently, Susana is still celebrated, remember, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And also in the global circuit, global fans also love this Susana.
A global fan of horror.
Yes, of horror, and David Gregory is the one who had the idea, and he told me that this is not only the icon of Indonesian horror films, but also the world horror.
This I'd never known because we never thought that Indonesian movie could actually go further than the country, and apparently Susana had proven that this kind of genre and Indonesian movies could actually make its name in international level. And it's proven by the distribution with the help of Severin Films as well. But in this particular case, maybe for those who are watching who might not be familiar with your work, Mas Eki, can you give us a little background of why you've been chosen to make this documentary, and also what is your role and also responsibilities in the making of this documentary?
Actually, in the basic daily life, I am a film lecturer, film critic, and one of my research interests is this classic exploitation horror films that redistributed globally. Like this, the DVDs.
I want to see.
Yeah, because it's very interesting. They even like this one is Susana. They even make something like this.
Yeah, and it's about santet.
Yeah, about santet.
Like what we call it in English, like a
Black magic.
Black magic.
Black magic.
Yes. So the Western people and the global fans consider this kind of films as a gems. If you know Criterion, this.
Yeah.
They treated these films as gems like Criterion.
Oh my God.
So I think I'm one of a few film scholars who do this kind of research.
Wow.
That's why like not only seven but several DVD distributors also asked me to would you please write an article about this and that.
So that's why you are in charge of the whole the data gathering and also interviews.
So officially I am the co-producer.
Okay.
The co-producer. At first, my first job is to do the research, to dig. At first, I thought I knew about Susana, but after I did some research, I learned so many new things.
Wow.
And then that's like some kind of like my wet dreams, wow, this is Susana.
Wow.
Okay. You describe it in a very strong manner. That's why I want to know, what is the fact about the late Susana?
I was about to
the
ask
late
that.
Susana that we'd never know about, or the public had never known about.
Like maybe about her daily life, her routine.
I don't know.
Anything.
So it's like most of the things that we thought they are true, right? For example, eating the jasmine flower.
Oh, that's true.
She went to the South Sea.
Yeah.
To do the
meditate.
blessing. Something
To ask blessing from the queen of the sea.
But there is one particular thing, like Susana was introduced by Usmar Ismail, the father of Indonesian cinema.
Oh, wow. To the movie.
Yeah, to the movie Asrama Dara, the girls' dormitory. That's her first role in movie theater.
Yep.
The thing is, Asrama Dara was her third attempt because she went to the casting, and rejected, and for the third time, including Tiga Dara, the three sisters.
Oh,
she went to that casting,
casting.
And but she failed because Indriat Iskak got the part, something like that.
I see. And why did you think it was important to tell Susana's story?
Because in Indonesia, we don't have or only lack of people do the stardom, studies and fandom, fan studies. And Susana is very important because nobody can replace Susana until recently, right?
Right.
Agree.
And it's not about the star, it's not, but it's because Susana herself is, mysterious,
Yeah, she's very
mysterious, and
she embodies the horror itself.
Yes, and
she looked like she's the horror.
Yeah.
And she made distance to the press, and so it's like people,
that makes her even more mysterious.
Yeah, play in their mind. Oh, is it true that
Susana is this? Susana is that? Susana is this? Is that? So they have their own perspective of Susana.
Yeah.
And apparently, she let them have it.
Yes.
She let them have it. But what I want to ask is, when it comes to Susana, what do you think made her quite legendary and made her quite iconic when it comes to Indonesian horror movie?
So in the documentary, there are like Joko Anwar and other people had their arguments. First of all, because Susana is not only an actress, because she has like this look, not only scary but also sad, right?
Yeah,
she keeps some secrets or some pain.
Like something in her we cannot tell, right?
Yeah. So we get sympathized, sympathy.
Yeah.
And the second one, this is something that the current horror films don't have. In most of Susana films, there are some scenes about absurd humor, Bokir, Nasir. And most of them, it's like, Hikmat Darban told me this, most of them are from lower class.
Okay.
Beca driver, sate, and so on and so on, the security guy. So the lower people, her fans, have a strong connection. So it's like, that's my colleague, that's my friends.
That could be me.
That
could be mine.
So it's very relatable, right?
Because like sate or security.
Yeah, the sate scene is very exceptional.
The sate scene and
memorable.
We don't have Bokir and Nasir and Dorman Borisman.
Yeah. Bokir.
It's not only sate, but like in, for example, in Santet, I want to show something. I want to make love to you. Oh, you mean this one?
Yeah. Oh no.
It's scary, but yet people will laugh. Like,
when it comes to if you take the term from the comedy movie, it's like the slapstick of horror that we are lacking at this era.
Yeah.
Because back in Susana era, it was quite not really comedic, but at the same time,
scary.
It's also scary.
Yeah. And it's hard to make a movie like that, right?
Yes. So Sisworo Gautama Putra, I quote Joko Anwar. He is not only he's like half, horror director, but half author, the art house.
Art house.
So he did, horror films in his own way, and that's because nobody can.
That's interesting.
I see. Okay, Mas Eki. So we move on to another question. How did US-based Severin Films get the chance to produce the film, and how did you collaborate with them?
Yeah, the thing is, Severin Films came to me because Joko Anwar.
Okay.
So it's not you came to them, it's them.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like
out of the blue.
Yes, and like too good to be true for me. Oh no, okay. Let's do it.
Susana.
Thanks to Susana, because they thought that I'm the expert of Susana, and because talking about horror films and Susana, we cannot separate with the cultural context, social context, what happened in the New Order era, and so on and so on. So they asked me to do the research and so on, and I know some people, why don't you get this person and this person? It's very quite challenging because I need to find like the makeup artist who talk very interesting things. For example, how he did the hole in Wonderball, and then about the snakes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Susana asked.
For Nyi Blorong.
For Nyi Blorong.
Yeah,
that's one.
Yeah.
I want the real one because otherwise
it won't look.
So
it was the real one in the movie.
The real one.
But the dead one. Or the living one.
The living one.
With the tongue gilam.
Oh my God! It was
the
real.
last one.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
Because otherwise there was no CGI or something. The special effects.
Yeah.
If it's zoom, it's fake. If it's not real,
Wow, that's why. That's why it felt very real.
Yeah, it needs to, because it was real.
It was real.
Yeah, it was.
So this whole research, how long did it take for you to do all the research for the documentary, and also we need to check about the fact rate. How did you validate if it's? How did you validate the information?
Yep.
I think it's early 2022. It was since in pandemic era, but not that tight because
just the end of the pandemic.
At the end, and I think it took about 3 to 4 months. And then in October we did the shooting in Jakarta. So we booked the Kino Forum in Taman Ismar Marzuki for 2 days, and then in the middle of the days, I took David Gregory to go to the layar tancap, traveling cinema, and he loved it. Oh, I didn't know this is exists something like that. And then I asked some colleague like Fala, who covered the Magelang
area
and Jogja area, because Cliff Sangra, her husband, is in Magelang, and the cemetery and so on.
It's in Magelang.
In Magelang, and then she did the rituals in the South Sea area.
Oh, okay.
So, and then another changeling thing is finally we could find Kiki Amelia, the daughter, who apparently now lives in Lithuania.
Oh, so
she does live in Lithuania now.
She has a daughter in Jogja, so it's coincidence. She visited the daughter, and then
So yeah.
So we covered both.
Now I want to ask about that as well, because it was such a havoc back at that time with the daughter. Now, Single Stories will come back after the break. Do not go anywhere. Interesting.
Mau ngomong
Even suaminya juga kayak misterius.